On for the week. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Those of you on GBN Television channel 7, 11 and 20. Those of you logged on to the GBN Television Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, and the listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9. Good morning once again. It is Friday, March 13th, a significant day in Grenada's history. It is also Open Line Day. So here is what's going to happen today. In putting the program together, I invited guests who we would not usually hear from around this time of the year on this specific part of the country's history. And I wanted to really get away from what we call, quote unquote, the usual suspects. We usually hear some people that are prevalent this time of the year, and I wanted to really get away from that. So I invited people whose stories we have not heard much about. Understandably, most of them were reluctant to appear. They didn't want to dredge up the history and the memories that comes with that period in their lives and in Grenada's history. And that gave me the idea that there are people around the island who have stories to tell that have not had the platform. And I thought I would provide that platform with this morning's open line. So this morning's open line would be centered on March 13th, 1979. Not 2018, 1979. I know we also have some more concerns, questions, and so on as it relates to the coronavirus. I may facilitate one or two of the coronavirus comments if there are any, but primarily I want us to focus on March 13th, 1979. This is a platform to tell your story. Anything that you remember from that time. Probably you have a favorite memory, a least favorite memory, something that has impacted you positively or negatively, something that has impacted the country positively or negatively. Anything about that time that you could remember 41 years later that you want to share with us this morning. 435-2041 is the number to do so. You can also send in your memories on the GBN Television Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, or you can also send in your message on the WhatsApp. Please do not voice or video call the WhatsApp. We can't take the calls. Type in your memories and I will share them with our viewing and listening audiences. I have also noticed people send in voice notes on the WhatsApp. We can't listen to those either. Again, only written messages on the WhatsApp, please. 435-2041 is the number to call and share your 41-year-old memory of March 13th, 1979, Grenada's revolution. It is definitely a significant part of the country's history that I don't think we would ever forget. Whether you were around them time, as the young people say, or you heard about it growing up, or you were taught the things that happened in revolution in school, in history, I don't think it would ever go away. This is definitely an event that has shaped and molded the country. 435-2041 is the number to call. Let me make sure everything is okay. Yes, everything is okay. To receive the phone calls, 435-2041, anything that you want to share. Let's go to the phone lines. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Decima Williams here.
Good morning, Miss Williams. How are you?
Fine.
Want to share a memory from that time?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I want to say good morning to Free Grenada. That's what it was 41 years ago for me and for the whole nation. And I want to salute all those who were involved in the struggle for this new, vibrant, new civilization, as we called it. I remember as a graduate student in the United States with a small group of us who were in the support movement of the NJM. I remember getting the call early that morning, and the person who called me was using Grenadian patois to tell me that Gary had been overthrown and we were victorious. And I still recall, 41 years later, the joy and the relief that it brought to us, the sense that we really were on the cusp of something significant. We didn't know how significant, but we had worked for it, at least in my case, for about 3 years. So I want to say that it was a moment of joy, a moment of great anticipation. And during the duration of the revolution, which for me, unfortunately, I spent abroad as the ambassador, it still was an important and successful tenure of young people crafting a great new Caribbean experiment here in Grenada. I have, as others, conducted my own critique over the years, and there are many areas where I was saddened about what we either didn't accomplish or what we did wrong. But I think overall it will never leave me as perhaps one of the most important turning points in the life of Grenada in a positive way, and one of the turning points in my own life. So I want to share this morning, and perhaps my message above all else is to the young people of this country to be revolutionary in your thinking of problem solving. However you define that revolutionary perspective, but business as usual, whether you're working under the Sustainable Development Goals or you're working specifically on climate change, or now that we are campaigning for the stopping of the coronavirus, COVID-19, we must act as if there is an emergency for something better. And I want to salute the Grenada Revolution, salute all my comrades who were part of it, and there are many of us who are still alive, and we're not very vocal, but that's my contribution this morning, and thank you for opening up the lines, and my congratulations to the nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Williams, for calling and sharing. Appreciate it. Decima Williams there. That's what we're doing this morning, sharing our recollection, our memories of March 13th, 1979. Open phone line specifically geared to the revolution. Good morning.
Morning, greetings, Sister Blossom.
Good morning.
Well, eventually, we're still here. After all the turmoil, we're still here. But the best lesson we have learned from my stage as a youth from Gary to the revolution is one of the greatest experiences that I already had. And eventually he taught me much. He taught me much because when I look back from whence we came from 400 years of slavery, and we had a black sun who rise to get us out of it, and up to today, we're still fighting if we have an independent nation. But I say that to say the progress that we have seen in Gary comparison to 4 years of revolution, nothing could stand it this way. Hence the reason why today we're living on the property of the revolution. The young ones that come in today, even though the history of that revolution partly was hidden away from the youths, them who come today, which is so vital to them, for them to know, as I always say, history is the platform to take us from here to wheresoever until death we shall part from it. But if we don't recognize it, we end up in situations like we are today, because if those who fight against the revolution had overstand the history of who toppled the revolution, today we would be much a stronger nation, progressive nation, what they don't want us to be. Today we would have been that. But you see where we are today? Because our sons and daughters who sell out the property, the privilege, you know what I'm saying, of the children. Today, that's why this separation. We have no end until we can bring ourselves back together as how we once were in the revolution, as a people working together, learning together, teaching each other, helping each other. Today, we will not be fighting for money to fill our pocket. We will be fighting for children to be more educated and have more university, not only St. George's University. We should have Grenada University, the Revolutionary University. We should have all these things. Look, health today, chaotic. Schools, chaotic. You know what I mean? Look, we have NIS. We put that in place so people could balance themselves even when the knees start to get weak. Look what these guys are doing. They're tearing it apart. They're burning it out. They're spending it out. They're giving it out. And we're fighting to go forward. Now, we have a lesson on our hand. Everybody living in fear because of this situation that is on the world plate, right on the platter of the world. Only telling us, is a sign to tell us, when we divided, you see, we will get defeated. But when we come together as a nation, as how the revolution had taught us to come together and put the things that we have, as we say, the means of production to work for us. Look today, boat, plane is like stand still. Hotel, stand still. You know what we have to depend on? The lands. That is the lesson we have to learn. The revolution taught us that. We bend our backs and we take the sun and all the equipment that we had on the airport that's serving us today. If we had them in our present today, I don't know if it's below the sea, just like how we agro-industry place end up in Dominica. If we had them today, with lands would have been much more cultivated, would have been more reachable for we people, roads and every other thing. And by now, equipment might have taken the most laborious part of the work. And with children today would have want to enjoy to go and see what they plant and when they see that fruit come. But look how all leader do. He say, father and his mother didn't inherit much. And they feed themselves and they feed him. So today he have a brain that he didn't take the feeding properly, otherwise the functioning more positive and constructive and caring and loving, and children would have be a part of him.
Okay.
Give thanks, Mrs.
Thank you very much. Sharing our memories of March 13th, 1979, the start of Grenada's revolution, giving our viewers and listeners a platform that they can share their story, their memories. Like somebody said, the stories need to be told. So we can continue the discussion here on To The Point. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As for me, the revolution made changes, and all revolution means to change. To me, whether you under democratic government, you under a revolutionary government, or you were under a Garyism government, certain people suffered, and some I'm trying to find the word for opposite of suffering. Some people flourished. And as far as I'm concerned, I had an experience where maybe I was somewhat suffered for the simple reason that I was working with government, and as soon as the revolution came into being, the people who seems to have changed turned and start bawling that you are a Garyite, I'm a Garyite, and they're going to soon transform me or they would make me go. As far as I'm also concerned, I had a bit of wicked experience because in those days I had two vehicles, and the people among whom I was working were saying that they would take one of my vehicles, or they would take one because they do not want one person to have 2 or 3 or 4 vehicles. So that's a bad experience. When I knew I bought my vehicle, and it would hurt me that somebody or some set of people, they didn't work, and they come in now and getting things that they do not work for. Similarly to in these days, people have a tendency to support people because they realize that they want work, even if they are capable or not capable. It's the same thing that happened during Gary days. It's the same thing that are happening now in these days. So I cannot tell you revolution was good or it was not good, but revolution means a great change. I can't tell you because that's what revolution means, a great change. It could be better for some and it could be worse for others. I even retired earlier than I should have, but I do not regret. It's a blessing for me because I'm still getting a little pension. Maybe under the revolution, they might have sent me home or sent as other people have been sent home or have been run away from the work and they had bad experience. Similar things happening now. So it's not revolution, what should I say, political revolution. We have other revolution taking place even now in Grenada. Thank you very much. That's my idea.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller, sharing our memories of March 13th, 1979, providing a platform for the stories that have not been told. There was a comment on the WhatsApp, I believe it was. Let's take the phone call while I find the comment I'm looking for. Good morning.
Good morning to you, ma'am.
Morning.
Yes, ma'am. The revolution in my...
I'm sorry. Could you turn the volume down on your radio or the television, whichever one you're looking the program on?
The revolution in my belief had some good, but in totality, it did a very amount of bad things because the revolution killed their own self. Person that build the revolution or make the revolution are the ones that kill the revolution for themselves, kill the leaders. And by all means, if the bishop side had got the chance, they would have to kill the code side just the same way. So it would have been definitely what happened would not have been able to stop because the code, they had split themselves in two between the code side and the bishop side. And one had also killed the other. But I wouldn't say that the revolution didn't have good in it. They had some good. We're glad for things like the NIS, things like marketing board and whatnot. So Grenada did benefit, the airport and whatnot, we did benefit from the revolution. But sad to say that the revolution fight among their own self. And that's the result we got. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller, for your contribution. 435-2041, sharing memories of March 13th, 1979. Good morning.
Yes, dear, good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Jeremiah.
Well, since you have a specific topic today, I will have to forego the scripture. But what I want to say is March 13th was a day I demonstrated for. When I say so, the previous to the coup itself, there were demonstrations almost every day, and I lived in Guam at the time, and there was free bus, so I took the ride, come down, and we demonstrated. The only day, well, when I did not attend was the Bloody Monday. I got up that morning, and in my spirit, I just did not want to go. I don't know why, and I was enjoying it every day, but that day I did not want to go, so I just stayed home, and that was when they had the Bloody Monday. But March 13th was a day I demonstrated for, and I looked forward to that day when they would get rid of that government that was there. But not long after, maybe about 3-4 months into the revolution, the Holy Spirit said something to me. And from that time, I said, Lord, I don't know. I was happy for it. Things seemed to have been going very good, and I couldn't see anything wrong, but I was praying because the Lord told me certain things, and I started praying. And maybe about a year after I started praying, the Spirit of God said to me, that revolution would not last for 5 years. And so I say, okay, Lord, I mean, this nation belongs to you, so if it would not last for 5 years, let us see. And not long after that, you started getting the vibes that it was not a godly thing. It was a godless revolution where they would leave God out, where God had no part in this and the things that they were saying, and, So I said, okay, well, I started praying that God's will be done because the country is God's country. Let him do what he will. So I continued to pray. And truly, it did not last for 5 years. So not every time something happens in a country that it is led by God or it is pleasing to God. And as a people, we are created by God. We are supposed to submit to God and to do His will. And so now I heard somebody was talking to me yesterday, and the person said, you know, if the young people ever get somebody to lead them in a particular direction, we're going to have a bloody time in this country because the country is suffering. That was a statement made by somebody to me yesterday. And so I'm praying that whatever would happen, let God have His way. And I would encourage Grenadians, especially those of us who profess to be knowing Jesus, let us commit our nation to God. Let us ask God's mercy and forgiveness, because the nation has sinned, and God has been speaking to leaders for years to have a national day of prayer and repentance. None of them has done it, not only this one, those before, those between, none has done it. And God is still saying, if we repent, He will forgive our sins and He will heal the land. So I'm, asking the believers, don't take any political sides. You belong to God. Let God's will be done. Because when you take a side, you tend to be biased. So just be for God, and let's pray that God's will be done for our nation. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ms. Jeremiah. There is a request on Facebook. Someone is doing research on spirituality and religious practices during the revolution. Anyone that has information can email the person. His name is Vonnie James. You can email him at gite.edu@gmail.com with the information relating to spirituality and religious practices during the revolution. In response to that comment, someone replied on Facebook, everyone was free to practice their religions. The Rastafarians, who were supporters of the revolt at the beginning phase, were persecuted not for religious purposes, but for wanting to grow marijuana helter-skelter. Let's go back to the phone lines. Good morning.
Good morning, my dear. How are you do?
I'm good, Ms. Jacob. How you do?
Well, I'm all right. I'm quite all right, but my requests are calling. I want to tell my brother good morning. Pastor Cecil Jacob, I can't get your phone not developing to me. Well, Sister Ross, what about Mommy? She okay?
Is she okay?
Right. Let me tell you all something. That revolution. Uncle Gary was a blessed man. Let me tell you something. Uncle Gary was a blessed man. Okay? And that day, that night in Rada, a vision come to me. I go and I tell Auntie Cynthia, I say, Auntie Cynthia, because there's something coming for Uncle, She say, oh, you mean? I say, yes, something coming for Uncle. But Uncle won't get anything. And those that would take over or after, before Uncle, they would take it by the gun. And I say, Auntie Cynthia, let me do everything. Your husband would be safe. Me and you would be safe. But it would be something else. But let me tell you all something. That brother Bishop, mean good. As I tell you, I like to go behind the top and at the bottom. I tell you, Bishop mean good, but he still had division. Is the good and the bad. Just as I go right back again to the Bible, just as our Lord. Watch how much people our Lord feed. It's 3 loaves and 2 fishes. Get 12 baskets of crumbs. But yet still, yes, he had 12 disciples. But already know it's not disciples that are going to do the work. It's those who be behind. And this set of people that really know it worse than Gary days. I'm telling you all. Night before I dream. In my dream, I see the Legion of Mary, the Spiritual Baptist, and the Anglican group. We there. And right our leader was with us. Yes, the Honorable Mitchell was with us. And the thing is, that won't be nice. It's coming back again. Grenadians, wake up, open your eyes. It's not nothing good to come again if I don't take down that leader. That leader is a very spiritual leader. I could tell all you that. Let me tell all you again, Sister Blossom, Gary days, going back there again, Gary in the good. And the way you see the airport day, Uncle Gary, that same thing for the airport. Uncle Gary thought about giving down the for the airport. So yes, government go and government come. The government that come, if, as we did tell Brother Bishop, if Brother Bishop did take it by the pen, you would have get it. Yes, you would have get it. Well, you see, those people are there behind Bishop. It's that.
Okay.
That. It's not easy, Sister Bassam. We have to go down in prayers and asking the Legion of Mary, the Spiritual Baptist, can come out and let's go and pray. Okay, Sister Blossom, God bless you, and I love you, darling.
Love, Miss Jacob. Have a good one. Thank you. There's a comment on the WhatsApp. Good morning. It was a very difficult day. What started off as jump up, we are free. Later that morning came the sad news of the death of Police Constable 237 Godwin Picety, who was killed during the fire truck en route to put out a fire at True Blue Barracks. So this too must be remembered along with others who were killed. One of the deaths, what they call them, tragedies of war. Good morning.
Blossom, you know, I'm sitting here and I heard a certain caller before glorifying the revolution. I mean, the revolution, the March 13th was the worst day of people's life. That revolution destroyed itself, you know why? Because it wasn't built on anything proper. That revolution destroyed people's lives. That revolution imprisoned people, over 3,000 people. You could not talk, you could not open your mouth. That revolution tortured people. What about the camp in Hopeville and California, where people were physically tortured? What about people like White? What about people whose head was flushed in a toilet? That revolution, you couldn't open your mouth, people wasn't free. All they're talking about this and that, and you could say this, and let me tell you something. Yes, the revolution created the marketing board, but the NIS, I don't know why people feel it's a creature of the NIS was implemented by PRG, but it was not their idea. It was a social security. Everybody knows about social security, and Gary and Miss Sean was the one that really negotiated, and they didn't have no time to implement it. The airport, everybody know about the airport. Gary, he didn't have no time to implement it neither. All these plans were there. But going back to that revolution was the worst period in people's lives. These people destroyed people's home lives. You couldn't talk. You had a militia. People running up on your veranda. I know personally running up on my father's veranda with guns and saying if you talk, they're going to put you in the mahogany house and they're going to put you up there. That revolution was the worst and darkest period of our life. These people imprison people, torture. You couldn't say nothing. They had pioneers and flower and all these kind of people, little people, brainwashing people. You can't say nothing. Everybody was afraid. You wasn't free. Look how Bishop did. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Bishop never had no good family life. Wife, children, Jackie, all this kind of... What kind of a nation, what kind of people it is? And as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe there was no plot to kill Bishop. Whoever said that, they lie. It is a matter of what went on the fort. Bishop was neglecting his duties, and there was an agreement that he will take joint leadership with Code. Code is not no bad person. And on top of that, when he come back, he went on trial. When he come back, he renewed. He didn't bother then. He changed his mind, and that's where the confusion starts. And Bishop take his force and go up in the up on the fort, which is a revolutionary headquarters with all the ammunitions. On the other side, they had to restore law and order, so they take it back. Who pull gun first is win, just like what Mr. Bridgman say. Is which side get first, and that is what exactly happened. It was a most disgraceful period in our life. So, lady, don't come and glorify the revolution. Don't come and glorify, because look, you see what happened now? Up to now, they can't find Bishop's body. You know why? They can't find his body because he was nothing good. But going back to the actual revolution, you think you could have opened your mouth and talk, and you think you could have called on station and this and that? I had a set of militia running on your veranda and only threatening people. They had torture camps. Lady, talk about all of that. People are hurting. I mean, I not so much about hurting because I'm an objective person, and I would get over these things, so I'm objective. But put it in your pipe and smoke it. The revolution was nothing good to talk about and nothing to be proud of, because it bust up, because it wasn't successful. That's the bottom line. Put it in your pipe and smoke it. It's nothing good to rejoice about.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you. It's about people's perspective. It wasn't good for you, but there are others who had different... Not everybody's experience was the same. So I don't think her recollection of the revolution is different to yours. So you can't tell her she was wrong. That was her experience. She had a different one to you. Yours was negative. Hers was more positive than yours. So you can't tell her she was wrong. And some of the things that we, quote-unquote, know about the revolution are speculation. There are things we still do not know about. Even people who are front and center during the revolution, there are still things they're uncertain about. So for us who weren't there, a lot of these things that we're hearing are still speculation. So when we tell people how they're wrong and they're right and so on and so forth, it's speculation in some instances. Let's go back by the phone lines. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. No, I'm a person that will respect everybody's opinion. But the truth of the matter is, though the revolution had its good, it was real bad, I'm telling you. Personal experience as a little boy at 9 years old. Just imagine you're 9 years old getting ready to go to school, and a set of people just come and shoot up your father's place. Take him and go with him. I say he's a counter-revolutionary. That's the first day. They keep him for 2 weeks. So we as boys, myself and about my other 3 brothers, we didn't see him for 2 weeks. Now, how you call that? Okay? Now, he had a pickup he just bought from Steele's, a green pickup. He went out one day to work, and he ended up walking back. Why? They take it from him. They say that is a color, part of the revolution. So when people talking about this and that, these people are talking, yes, because of the personal experience with having freedom to other people's property. That is what they're talking about. Getting something for nothing. And I mean, it's time Grenadians come up and say, look, especially those that know, come and say, look, this is what we did and we were wrong. And stop glorifying things that are wrong, and what is right, just forgetting it. All government have the good and the bad, but stop glorifying something that kills its own people. That is what we have to stop do. Glorify a government that killing its own people, literally killing, physically killing, mentally killing. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, caller. Appreciate your contribution. On that note, let's take a quick break before we go back to the phone lines. I got caught up in the stories and forgot I have bills to pay. We're going to be right back after this very brief break. Stick and stay.
The Grenada Airports Authority wishes to advise the general public that the flying of kites within the vicinity of the airport is prohibited. Prohibited areas include, but not limited to, Caliste, Frequency, Fort Judy, St. Paul's, Mount Parnassus, and Mount Morris, and the vicinity of Lauriston Airport in Carriacou. Flying of kites poses serious threat to aircraft safety, as kites can be easily ingested into aircraft engines or become entangled in aircraft propellers, resulting in engine failure with tragic consequences to aircraft passengers and persons on the ground. The Grenada Airports Authority therefore urges the general public to cooperate towards ensuring the safety of aircraft operations into and out of the Maurice Bishop International Airport. The Grenada Airports Authority will be seeking the assistance of the Royal Grenada Police Force in dealing with violators of this notice. Let us all play our part in making this Easter kite flying season a safe one.
Hi, I'm Francis Urias Peters. To really know who I am, you must look at the plays that I've written over the past 30 years, because they reflect hard work, discipline, and my inner beliefs. Now, these values were shaped by my earlier bringings, because I was always curious about my roots and my identity as a Caribbean man. Now, I'm a good listener, and K105 has always been a great source of education and entertainment. Now, while the station name may have changed over the years, it has always provided valuable information which enabled me as a playwright to document and to celebrate our history, our behavior, and our achievements. K105 is my choice. It's the national station.
Going beyond the ordinary. Examining the stories beyond what meets the eyes. GBN gets to the meat of the matter. Join us on GBN Television, Classic Radio, gbn.gd, or on Facebook via your smartphones and other devices. We take you beyond the headlines every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. We are GBN, rated number 1.
You know, one day I woke up and, they painted a set of pedestrian crossing all along the streets. Nobody told us how to use that thing properly.
I know how.
You're serious?
Every safe, good driver knows about these things. As a driver, you have to be very attentive. You know you're coming up close to a pedestrian cross, you start slowing down immediately, looking to see if there's any pedestrian on the side getting ready to cross. If there is, you stop on the line that is a certain distance before the crosswalk. Then you would see the pedestrian put their hands out.
welcome back to the Point. Thank you for staying with us. 20 minutes on to the hour of 10. We are reminiscent on a part of Grenada's history, a historic part, March 13th, 1979. Let's go back to the phone lines. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Citizen Welch. Greetings, how are you?
Good morning, Citizen Welch. I'm good.
You're having a nice day.
Yes, I am. It doesn't feel like Black Friday.
It doesn't feel as... that's superstition.
I have it a little bit.
Oh, I see.
I confess.
I am more realistic. Anyway, March 13th, 1979 is the date that we're reflecting upon today. I've heard comments from people. I've heard them prior. Citizen Welch. Now, March 13th, 1979, which we commemorate, I'll tell you this, I'd rather use mark as a more generic verb because certain people commemorated because they were saddened on that day. Others celebrated because they were happy. I'd use the generic word mark, which we mark today, Citizen Welch. To me, is the most glorious day in the history of this here country because it is proven now, despite of all that I knew before about it, being a part of it, not the military component of it, but serving to allow to happen what happened within the 4.5 years after its inception on that day. I know that it is the closest day that the people of this here country reached to their total emancipation. It was the day which marked the, what you would call the independence of Grenada, because Grenada then reached to a stage, albeit we had to make connection with other countries, but the destiny of this country was in the hands of the people. The glorious day of March 13th. But we can go fast forward. We made a lot of mistakes. And when I say we, I talk about the people of this here country from the leadership down. We overstepped our authority. Yes, there were abuses, but tell me if a revolution didn't have abuses, Citizen Welch. Look, let's go back to the revolution known as the French Revolution. On that day of the Fifth Republic in 1793, abuses. There were people guillotined. We didn't reach that far here. Listen, we can go back further. In 68, the glorious revolution of Great Britain, Citizen Welch, we can. And all other revolutions, things happen because precisely the word revolution at this level means a total turnaround. People who participate in revolutions have different reaction to the behavior of their opponents and their contrincants. In other words, those who go against and do not believe in what they believe. But Citizen Welch, as I terminate this part of it to give others a chance, I want to say this. Why did the revolution come about in Grenada on that day, 1979? It came about because what is written had come to pass. When usurpers abuse the rights of a people, then insurrection become the right. We acted in an insurrective act against Gary's evil behavior against our people. Who talks about what Gary did to Grenada? How he killed the people? Yes, he did. He ordered his people to beat our people. I, as a little boy in St. Paul's, used to lime on the block in Labaree Junction. We had to run when we see cars like P-2145 laden with mongoose gang and 303 rifles pointing out of it. We had to run on in the alley land where today, you call it again, Sam's. Young men and women of Labaree all remember that in them days. Another part of the country behavior. That is why Gary unleashed. Who remembered on the day, the 20th of February? Is it February? No. Hold on a while. I'm trying to get a Bloody Monday. The day before, Eric Gary called out all able-bodied men in Grenada to come out to support him, to uphold his government, or the regime which he led, to abuse the people of Grenada, who were on the carnage on that day, on the 21st of January 1973, was it? when he unleashed on the people. And then after that, the abuse in the parliament when Morris Bishop and the other were like, who remembers these things? Nobody seemed to remember these things. This is why the revolution came about. It was a cause. There was a cause created for insurrection. And as John Locke put it in another way, when this level of behavior becomes prominent against a people, then he said, when this is done, then the basis for legitimate revolution is clear. It happened because of that. It has failed because of mistakes, but just as many other revolutions in the world today have failed. Did we learn lessons? Of course we did. Were there mistakes? Yes, of course we were. They were. But let's get it clear. The revolution brought us the closest we ever been, because we continue to live in this here country as a colony of Great Britain that nobody wants to talk about, but we'll expound on that further as we go along. Long live the glorious day of March 13, 1979. Who like it, who don't like it, let them do what they like, but you can't turn the clock of history back. Have a nice day, will you, Citizen Welsh?
Thank you, Citizen Rollo. From the passion to have a nice day. Thank you, Citizen Rollo, for your contribution this morning. Let me get to the social media. There's another comment. Long live the revolution. Morris Bishop, we loved him always, forever. That's your opinion. You're entitled to it. We went for Bishop. We brought him on the fort. That lady was so right. She should write a book. I think that was in relation to Miss Anne-Marie. We were trying to make a difference, so in doing so, we should make the difference not to use and abuse people, so to speak, like it is right to torture people because some other revolution and government did it. That's just dunce. Long live. There was a comment on WhatsApp. The revolution had its good and bad. I was 13 years old at the time of the revolution. The revolution opened the eyes of the people of Grenada. It makes lots of people read and write. Bishop was a great leader. No other leader takes his footsteps. Another comment. With the plastic bag change, is it that business will be serving? Okay. No, that's not a revolution. Forward ever, backward never. Free education, free healthcare, grow what we eat what we grow. Trying to end illiteracy. Oh, what a joy to see people signing their own names. Free public transportation. Forward ever, backward never. Another comment says, Sir Eric negotiated for the NIS but didn't get the opportunity to implement. But in 1980, the PRG asked citizens to submit ideas for development. At the time, a young man from Sanssouci, from very humble background, drew a plan for the NIS and dropped it into Morris Bishop's office at the time in Mount Panday. Shortly after, Martin received a disciplinary. The young man's name was Martin Fletcher. He received a complimentary card from Bishop's office signed by one Ian Jacob, thanking and commending him for the idea and asking him to send more such ideas. But months later, the PRG deemed him as a counter-revolutionary and incarcerated him. He passed away a few years ago in the Philippines, where he was residing for a number of years. May his soul rest in peace. I didn't know that part. You see, you learning new things. Back to the phone lines. Good morning.
Good morning, sister. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. My story on the revolution is that the revolution had to take place. It had to take place. Gary in the early was a good man. He became a dictator. I lost my father because of Gary. And the country was suffering under Gary because of his dictatorship. So the revolution had to take place. The problem is that Bishop was a good man. He didn't have so good people around him because he had good intention. The potential Grenada exploded under Bishop. We still have that experience from Bishop, and yet still none of our leaders afterwards have taken up that strength and what's the word I want to use? It just slipped me. To come out and make Grenada what Bishop made Grenada with the industries and all those things. But Bishop, the revolution was a terrible one. I leave Grenada and I do run away because of the revolution. But I was for the revolution, but I had to run because of my area was a hot spot and they were picking up people and throw them in jail like Timothy and Good. So the revolution also gave a lot of young people the opportunity to go overseas and pursue careers Because I know children who were in class with me, they done more than me, and they do very well. They become doctors and all kind of things. So the opportunity came where they became professionals, and I'm happy for that. But the only thing I see about the result of that, some of the people who went overseas and became professionals, when they come back, they did not behave like how Bishop would have liked them to behave, to serve the country as from the heart, because they put money first and they were killing people with cost when they could help out people and could have charged marginal prices to help out the poor people in the country. But the revolution had its good and it had its bad, and I am seeing in the future that another revolution would take place because of this present dictator. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, caller. Let's not speak it into existence. Let's hope for the best. Goodness. There was a comment on Facebook. The revolution is not an ordinary form of government. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
There is a scene.
Just turn the volume down on your radio or your television.
There's a saying that discipline and good standards sit in your home. Listen me. Let me say two things. Look at our parliament in this country. See who's sitting in our parliament. A man who denounced God sitting in our parliament. A man who is a fugitive sitting in our parliament. And the Prime Minister sometimes when he's addressing the nation does quote the Bible. That man does have the heart to quote the Bible. When you have a fugitive sitting in our parliament, when you have a man who denounced God, that says no God sitting in our parliament, and this man has had the heart, when you're addressing the nation to use certain part of the Bible, this man is a hypocrite. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, caller. Okay, reminiscing on March 13th, 1979, it is 8 minutes to 10, possibly the last caller. Let's see what happens. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, the very first caller who spoke, that was the ambassador.
Miss Williams?
Yes, she really laid the groundwork, and I want to say hats off to her. My only concern is whether or not persons like her have not failed the young people after them, because I think they should constantly, I don't know if she has written a book, to put in perspective why the revolution came about, and when we analyze and assess the benefits of that period, to ensure that those young people are being properly educated on our going forward. You have a good day now.
Thank you very much, caller. You have raised a concern that I've heard for years, the information being shared among students. We learn all kinds of things in school, Christopher Columbus and Aristotle and Plato. Look, I remember names, but we don't really hear much or not being taught much about the Grenada Revolution. And I think people like Miss Williams and others, I don't know how we can come together, and I'm not saying how we can come together to provide more information. I was just scrolling through Facebook, and there are comments that are saying, long live the revolution, even though we still don't know much about it, and that's people from my age group. So there's information missing, and I'm sure there are people who have it. We just need to find a vessel to share it. Let's take this final phone call. Good morning.
Good morning. What I have to say is all's well that ends well. The revolution did not end well. And if we want to give the revolution all the praise, we need to give Gary praise too, because he started good and he ended bad. So none of them ended well. So I wouldn't say that either of them was perfect. And that's what we expect of governments. But the revolution was terrible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller, for your contribution. Let me go by the Facebook. My uncle was one that the revolution arrested, threw in jail, beaten up, trampled on for nothing. At the time, he was the owner of Bamboo Bar in Adelphi Birch Grove, St. Andrew, and he was one of those who was on the list of property to be taken away from them. How did it end? That's what I want to know. All leaders have their own style. That lady and that man, very disrespectful. Which lady and which man? Yes, let me check back the WhatsApp. 5 minutes to 10. Let me take this very brief call. I like the information sharing. Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. I want to speak on the radio.
Yes, you're on to the point. Go ahead.
I listen on the radio.
Yes, you're on the program. Go ahead.
I want to say something about this thing we're going on here.
Yes, you're on the program. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the program.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm watching it in Carriacou. Yeah, I realize now. I'm in Carriacou, and I'm watching what's going on. What I'd like to say is.
Okay, turn the volume. You're looking on the television.
Yeah, watching the television.
Yeah, so turn down the volume because I think it's distracting you. So turn down the volume and make your contribution quickly, please. Yes.
Turn the volume down the telly. Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I've got it now. Yeah. So I'm just watching. I want to say something about the country and what people are saying. But this is a good country. It's a brilliant time. It's well respected, well represented.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, caller. I didn't turn on the TV distracting you, the delay distracting your contribution. But thank you very much. Let me quickly wrap up with some comments on the Facebook. Good morning. March 13, 1979 was one of the best times we ever had in Grenada, and after the revolution, no other leaders came close to the achievements we made. Long live the revolution. The revolution this one is on WhatsApp. The revolution had many good and some bad. It was the best and most developmental period in Grenada after just 4.5 years. So I guess that's the general consensus, good and bad. Thank you, each and every one of you that contributed and shared your stories with us. This was an educational program for me, learning and hearing other people's stories and what we usually hear over the years. Thank you once again for all of you who contributed. That's the end of my time today. Brenda is up next with Mid-Morning Buzz. I'll be back tomorrow, God willing, for Soca Saturday. Until then, have a safe, enjoyable Friday. Continue practicing safe hygiene. And as the saying goes, long live the revolution. Have a good one, everybody.